What I said when I was with you that night, there are more important things than living. And that's saving this country for my children and my grandchildren, and saving this country for all of us. And I don't want to die. Nobody wants to die. But man, we got to take some risk and get back in the game and get this country back up and running.
That was Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who was more than happy to sacrifice you for his stock portfolios. Yes. There's more important things than living, and that's my money. So go back to work and start making me money, peasant. That's essentially his entire deal. Because remember, Dan Patrick isn't going to be one who's affected by this. Dan Patrick can safely, shelter at home with his family and do video calls. There's nothing about his job that you can't do remotely. And so he's not going back into the market. So this was, of course, on Fox News, Tucker Carlson's show. And really, he's defending himself against the pushback from similar comments he, of course, made last month. And I want to show you that appearance.
And, Tucker, no one reached out to me and said, as a senior citizen, are you willing to take a chance on your survival in exchange for keeping the America that all America loves for your children and grandchildren? And if that's the exchange, I'm all in. Let's get back to work. Let's get back to living. Let's be smart about it. And those of us who are 70 plus, we'll take care of ourselves, but don't sacrifice the country. Don't do that. Don't ruin this great American dream.
You're basically saying,
don't sacrifice the country. And by the country, I mean, my money, because I make money off of you. I make money when my employees go to work and sell things. And so if you're not doing it, if you're not going to work, you're not making me money, and you're useless to me. So I'll be fine because, again, I can shelter in place all day, but I don't care about you. So I'm going to send you out to go back to work. And that's what they're doing in Texas, unfortunately. So as I mentioned before, Dan Patrick has little chance of getting COVID-19. He's not a frontline worker. He's not stocking grocery shelves. He's not out there. He's not a nurse. He's not a medical professional. So no, he's going to be pretty much safe. But he's telling everyone else, I don't care about your safety. Go ahead and go out and die. Because there will be people that will die. Right now, Texas has a population of 29 million people, right? And they don't just stay in Texas alone. They also can travel. And they're not the only state that's opening up. As Greg Abbott is saying that they're going to open up in phases, right? And already it's too soon for that. It is too soon for that because we don't have aggressive testing. We don't necessarily know how many people are infected but are asymptomatic since they're not testing asymptomatic people. And so there could be, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, tens of thousands of people in Texas alone running around with coronavirus, spreading it to other people that we have not tested. And so that's the big problem here. But people like Dan Patrick, well, they're like, don't really care. Not my problem. If you die, you die. I just need to make money. Other states that are opening up, of course, you've got Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, and Kentucky. So now that's a disaster. But understand here is that this whole thing, all the calls to open up are not put forward by regular people. Now, they want you to think that. They want you to think that, it's to every man, the regular worker who wants to get back to work, right? But these dastardly governments run by liberals, they don't want you to open up, even though it's perfectly safe to be able to do so. That is not true at all. No, the people, you look at who's funding those protests, right? Where they say, we want to get back to work, right? Who's funding them? Those protests are billionaires. You have Charles Koch and you have Betsy DeVos. Betsy DeVos, of course, is the education secretary under Donald Trump. And what she's doing is that her family is funding the MCC. It's a Republican conservative group that was behind a lot of these protests. And so they're doing these protests so they can manufacture consent, right? In order to have the governments justify lifting these lockdowns to send you off to die in order to make money. They don't care about human lives, and so they're wrapping this up in freedom, right? It's all about freedom. And how dare you hurt regular working people? Well, you know what? Regular working people who can't go to work are hurting. Well, you know what you could actually do? Use the power of the federal government, the Trump administration, to go and give more support to regular working people. A $1,200 check is not going to cut it. Expanded unemployment benefits, where there are a lot of people that don't actually qualify for those benefits, even though they have been expanded significantly. A lot of people still aren't able to get those. And so they're not getting a lot of help, or whatever help they are getting is not necessarily sufficient. You need to have rent, a moratorium on rents and mortgages and credit cards and things like that, just until the crisis is over. And until, of course, we can get the economy back to pre-coronavirus levels. We need to do that. But unfortunately, they're saying, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to help you guys. Instead, we're just going to send you back out to work because generally we don't care about you. You are disposable. You are replaceable. You are cogs in the machine. And I've gone long enough. It's only been a month. An extremely long month for sure. But it's only been a month since we did this lockdown. And now already they're looking at their stock portfolios, they're looking at their bottom line. They're saying, no, I'm losing too much money. I'm super wealthy, but I'm still losing too much money. Get the peasants back to work. That's all this is. And I mean, it's the lack of humanity from a lot of these conservative governors. It just shows who they really are. And of course, when somebody shows you who they are, you ought to listen. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.